go ahead and start that shit up.
Sure. So I've seen a lot of chatter back and forth about this entire thing. So I have a few opening words to go through. Some of them are my normal pregame speech. Some of them are just extra little things. So I'm going to go through this real quick. And if you have questions at the end, feel free to speak up. First thing first, hopefully everybody remembers this is just a game. I understand that it's a hobby that everybody has, and people are typically really passionate about their hobbies. But keep in mind, it is still just a game. We are all here to have fun together, hopefully. Second, as many of you maybe know, or maybe not, I don't know how many of you have listened in on any sessions that I've DM'd or not. I typically run pretty RP-heavy sessions, and I allow characters to use their skills in what I consider to be unique ways. The better you do at describing how your character will act, exactly what they're doing, the thought process to how that skill will actually benefit the situation, the more lenient I typically am with how hard the DC is. So I have a set DC for things. If you manage to do a good job of telling me exactly how your character accomplishes that goal, that's typically rewarded by a reduction DC or potentially extra attempts. As people don't normally understand, when I give that short explanation, Lee is actually here, and he's aware of some of how that works, and probably my best D&D story over the last little while. The story involves a specific character diving to the bottom of an ocean about 50 to 75 feet deep, failing some swim checks and almost drowning. The end of the story goes that because of the extra explanation that he was giving about how his character was using some of his skills in unique ways, I allowed a performance check to help him swim, where he pretended to be driftwood. So keep that in mind. Like, that's an example of a character using some exceptional description and drawing on potentially past memories or past experiences in order to help them in their current situation. Okay. The moral of the story is the RP didn't save him. Ultimately, it was his rolls, but his RP did give him more chances to improve his own outcome instead of just being succumbed to the depths. So anybody have any questions about what I mean by any of that? Sounds like no's. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. Dariah, you are currently in the barracks, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and you are being held there completely against your will, or you are being held there?
No, this was volunteer.
Voluntary.
This was volunteer. Okay. I believe Rayclin, if that's how you spell his name, Arcane Scout's character. The higher level one was my kind of like my bodyguard, and Sutha and
Grin
have been visiting me lately, helping me out, giving me advice, and Grin's been preparing a case for me.
He has indeed, and he has forwarded that to me as the DM. I have not quite read through all of it. I went through a quick perusal to see what his style was like. Yes, and it is quite a few pages.
And I also have several questions that I was supposed to ask as Grin's character.
Okay. For the sake of this, I would prefer not to have to run both Gren's character and
I was
the judge. Yep. So since you have the document, I'm assuming that he sent out, I would prefer it if you read anything off of that as you see fit.
Thank you.
Okay. So as you have been in voluntary captivity, and self-imprisonment, let's say, for the better part of a week now. In the last 2 days, you have heard some hasty construction begin to happen out in the town square just past the barracks. as you are visited by Sutha and Gren, you do get word that there are benches and a stage basically being built in the town square. You are visited by Erisian, one of the council members of the guild, pretty early in the day, letting you know that a magistrate is on their way and will be there within the hour. You're asked to follow her out. There are a couple of guild members acting as guards. Follow you in a more ceremonial fashion as you are there for under your own voluntary will.
All right. As that happens, early in the week, I received a mask from Sutha, and I would like to cover my face with it. It is a half mask, only covers my eyes, lower face is still able to be seen, but I don't know a lot of people here. I just arrived 2 weeks ago, and now I'm on trial, so I don't really trust people with what I look like for personal reasons.
Okay.
I also haven't showered in a week because nobody let me out of the cage, so that's fun.
Erisian leads you to a small bathing area where you are given some privacy, and the guards are posted so that you can clean yourself up before the trial.
And
I try to escape. I can't. I don't really do that.
I do have soap and perfume if you would like to use that as well.
Who's saying that?
Sutha.
Oh, I'll take the soap.
Okay.
Okay. They give you about 15 minutes to clean and redress yourself.
15 minutes? Are you kidding me? I can't even shave my legs at that time.
Before there is a knock at the door telling you to hurry up.
Fine. I don't even have enough time to make myself look pretty. This is already a bad day. I'm kidding. I'm just having fun.
That's fine.
I get ready and I share a moment alone in retrospect, take a deep breath, and walk out the door.
Okay. The guards are there waiting with Erisian, who stands in front of you looking a little downtrodden, a little sad at the circumstances that are currently arising. But the moment of momentary absence of her sense of propriety towards being a upstanding member of the council of the guild, she puts on her game face, as it were, and turns and leads you and the guards out towards the center square where the stage has been set up. As you arrive, she motions for you to take a seat on one side of the stage. As she does that, the two guards take up positions behind you. Erisian, you see her step forward, pull one hand out from her robes that was clenched there before in a little bit of tension. You see her reach up, bite her finger, and begin drawing with her blood in the dust. Before long, she sends a surge of cyan energy through her blood and through the ruins that she has drawn into the dirt, and a gate opens in front of her, through which steps two beings. The first is a woman in blue, lush blue robes. She stands after stepping through the gate with an exceptionally straight back and proper posture. She has a few lines that have begun to crease her face into the knit brow of someone who is listening intently. You see her movements are fluid despite the rigidity of her posture as her hand reaches up and brushes back a lock of dark auburn hair from one of her eyes, the short waving strands rejoining their brethren as they are tucked up and across her forehead with the brush of her tanned skin. You can see that her golden eyes betray a mixing of blood not entirely human despite her other appearances. And as she begins to speak, the richness of her commanding voice far outshines her decidedly average complexion. Irissian, it has been far too long. And she steps forward to clasp hands with Irissian. Irissian holds one arm back, the one that she had bit her finger and is bleeding. She holds that up to her chest and clasps hands with her left instead of her right. It is good to see you as well, Ansip. I am sorry to call you here on such matters. Oh, never mind. It is but a trivial thing. I hear that there was some trouble, but you have not given me much more details to go on. Irissian takes a pause for a moment before she continues. Yes, I'd rather the accuser and someone who has been more involved relay the details. Can I get you anything before we get started? Oh, no. We just finished our meal back in Waterdeep. There is no need to provide anything extra. Maybe a jug of water in case I end up doing quite a bit of talking would be appreciated. You see Irissian turn to one of the guards that's standing behind you, and she gives a nod, and one of them leaves from behind you, stepping off the back of the stage, obviously going to fulfill the request. Who is your friend? I thought you were going to be coming alone. Irissian says, motioning to the other female standing to the magistrate's right.
Oh.
I have it. Hold on one sec, guys. 2 seconds. Sorry about that. To her right, you see a female dragonborn. One of her hands, gold-scaled hands, rests atop a beautifully crafted rapier. Her lithe form is shifting slowly back and forth from foot to foot, but she is remaining in place. Studded leather clasps her form and is modified to hold multiple throwing knives, each within reach of her offhand. The scales leading up to her neck and face have a jagged nature which conflict starkly with the smooth curves that make up her abnormally humanoid face, her jaw and nose barely protruding from the rest of her features, unlike other dragonborn that you've seen. Large, flat, plated scales cover her scalp, and no tail protrudes from her armor. This is Riffin, my champion, should the need arise. I was not told the manner of which I was needed, so I decided to bring all of my tools. Irissian nods at that before continuing to speak. If you'd like to begin, I will call us to order and introduce you to the rest of the guild. There's no need to introduce me. I will begin the trial, of course. If you wish people to watch, just keep them quiet. I will have no undue interruptions. Irissian gives another final curt nod before she steps back away from the stage, motioning with the arm that she had clasped up towards her chest, towards the stage and the set of steps that stand before. She mounts the stage and takes a seat opposite of you, Daria, in a chair with a small table and desk in front of it. You see Ansip reach into her leather satchel and pull out a small stack of papers, a quill, an inkwell. She makes a few jotted notes on the paper before looking up at you, and then looking around. Are you the accused? Speaking to Daria.
Yes, my name is Daria Leandro, and
She makes more scribbled notes on her page in front of her towards the top.
And I hope you can hear my story and hear the truth in my words today.
Agreed. You're the one that stayed. I was told one stayed and one fled.
Yes.
She gives a nod, makes a few more small notes on the paper towards the bottom of the page, before a few scratches that don't look like letters, and then she continues. Her stare, and the accuser is where, or at least the reporter of the. Go ahead, Excelsior.
Would you like me to state my accusation, or simply identify myself?
She turns to look to see where you are at in the crowd or on the stage. Where are you currently standing?
So, out of character, I wasn't told where my character. I mean, I assume he's just standing in the crowd. No one came to get him, so he just raises his hand and takes a moment, reaches into his mouth, removes his flaming mouthpiece, tucks into a pocket, says, I stand ready to fulfill any duties I have as a member of the guild, as a lawful citizen, and a witness to a supposed murder.
Okay. She turns, twisting in her chair, finding your voice as you stand, before motioning for you to join them on the stage in front of everyone. As you step up past, you see you get a little bit closer to Riffin, her champion, who is standing directly at her side. As you do, she gives you a slight smile, showing a little bit of teeth, and her mouth hangs open slightly. And as you do, you see a little bit of flame play from her own mouth. But in looking into the flame, you do not see a tongue. As a small commotion kicks up around the edge of town as Air, one of the guild's members, starts rounding up people to listen to the trial. So you think that there was a murder? Were you witness to said crime?
I did, yes. I witnessed 2 murders. Oh, only one of the perpetrators, only one of the murders stands before us.
So there was this Dariah, letting out her hand towards Dariah, is accused of a single murder then?
A single murder of a child.
And the name of the deceased?
I am sorry to say that I never had an opportunity to learn that.
I see. And the bodies in question?
Were delivered to the town of Ashenport and interred according to the rites of the local priest.
I see.
I personally escorted the bodies to town and delivered them to the local temple.
I would like to step in now and would say that that is false and that I personally escorted those bodies to the temple.
As you speak up, she turns and gives you a small stare that is less than appreciative of your interruption, but she motions for you to continue standing and continue speaking. This one does not speak truthfully, you say?
Yes, because at the time of arriving into town, apparently, while I was off finding a priest or somebody who could perform the proper rites for the deceased, he seemed to be gathering a large following outside of town to have the 2 accused arrested.
May I?
Sure.
By all means, I would like to hear both of your sides of the story, but I think that we should wait just one moment as she motions for Sutha to join you on stage.
Okay, I will make my way to the stage.
Okay. You see her slowly stand as you approach the area. She motions for you to stand about 10 feet or so away from Daria. Both of you are standing. There are only chairs for her and for the accused. Everyone else on stage is standing in place. As she does, you see her mumble a slight incantation under her breath, and you feel a wave wash over you of truthfulness. Do you try and resist?
I do not.
Nah, I won't.
Daria?
Unfortunately, Daria would naturally resist.
Okay.
So,
Please go ahead and roll charisma for me.
charisma?
It's a charisma save, yes.
All right. Sorry, I had to look up my saving throw real fast.
It's okay.
+5. There we go. Oh shoot, I put that in general. My bad.
Go ahead and re-roll it in lobby 1. I'm not reading anything but lobby 1.
Okay. That sucks because it was an 8. 14?
You feel the willingness to tell the truth wash over you despite your resistance. You see that Ansip, the magistrate, look at you a little bit funny beneath the mask. Her eyes seeming to stare directly into yours as the final bits of magic take hold before she removes her attention from you and turns back to the other two before her and retakes her seat. Now, which is it? Either he went for the priest or you went for it. By all means, we'll start with the original accuser.
I escorted the bodies to town, and Sutha escorted the bodies to the priest. I had loaded the bodies into my cart, brought them to the middle of town. I attempted to find lawmen. Actually, my initial attempt was to locate a Temple of Tyr. When I could not find one, I went to the local barracks, found a bodyguard. Then they directed me to the town guard. I attempted to round up a posse to apprehend the murderers. I did not know where they had went at the time. Eventually, myself and the town guard, I did not succeed in forming a posse. Ended up checking the inn. It is correct that Sutha took them from the middle of town where I stopped my cart to the temple to have them interred.
I see. Sutha, do you agree with this rendition?
I do agree. The bodies were loaded up by him. He escorted our cart into town, and I did take the victim's cart into town as well. And from there, I proceeded to go find a priest and make sure that the bodies were buried properly.
I see. Well, as we have no witnesses besides you and Excelsior, are there any others who would come forward to participate in this trial?
May I suggest a witness?
Of course.
The deceased. Is anyone here, do they have the capacity to speak to the dead?
Are the dead currently here?
They're in Ashenport right now.
So how will that help us?
I put in a request for at least a cleric to attempt to have them disinterred. I don't know if anyone ended up getting that.
I remember
that was something that I know I stated in character.
Well, if it took us 6 days traveling in the 90s, as you guys put it, and it's only been a week that I've been in jail, there's no way that those bodies could have gone here except by magical means. So
I'm sure Arisian could facilitate for this at least once more today. She would have to be quite quick about it. And you see that Ansip has turned towards Arisian, who looks absolutely drained from her previous casting. But she nods tightly before, yes, I could manage it with a few pieces of lesser magic. It would take me an hour or two to return with bodies in tow. Do I need to bring anyone else? This will be the last time I can do anything like this today.
Unfortunately, the body of the child's father, who was killed by another individual, not Dariah, is headless, so I do not believe you will be able to speak with him. It would only be of use to bring the child's corpse back.
Is it headless?
His head exploded.
Okay. Is there anyone else from Ashenport that I should retrieve? Maybe this priest? Ansip continues.
Perhaps the 2 guardsmen who accompanied him to apprehend Dariah?
Fair enough.
Dariah.
You have 2 hours, Irisian. Please, make haste.
Haj, as
Yes.
Arisian starts doing things, I'll offer to go with it.
As Arisian starts doing things, you'll what, Lee?
Offer to go with her.
She graciously accepts, as she might need help with the carrying. Okay. You see a momentary lapse in Arisian's collected facade as she again reaches down and scribbles in the dirt with a bloodied hand before grabbing hold of Air's shoulder, muttering a few words under her breath, and they disappear in a very minor flash of cyan. Well, as that will take quite a bit of time, I think we will save them for our dessert, as it were. Now, since we have established the, let us say, the charges being murder of a small child, let us get on with the actual evidence presenting, shall we? I believe I will start with the accuser. What evidence do you have that there was an actual crime committed?
I believe the cart belonging to the merchant and his son was stolen by the members of my party and brought to town. I personally do not have the cart or the remnants of their shipment, which I believe was cabbage. Additionally, I should technically also accuse Dariah of theft, as she did rifle through the pockets of the boy's dead father and attempt to give me the 92 copper that he had on his body. I have no physical evidence that these individuals are dead other than their corpses, which hopefully you will be able to confirm were interred.
They are being retrieved, indeed.
The murder weapon was magic, specifically a firebolt spell, so I cannot show you what was used to kill them.
Understood. So the bodies will prove the veracity of your claims. Do you have no other witnesses besides yourself and your accusations?
Sutha and excuse me 1 moment. Sutha, Jarxel was not with us. Sutha, one of the other murderers, Tsar, who is not present at the moment, did run away, but he was present as well. It would be Sutha and Tsar. He had like the character like 3 names, so I'm looking up which name he was using during the
It was Tsar.
session.
It was Tsar.
Yeah, it was
No,
Tsar.
it was
Tsar. Tsar.
Yeah.
it was Karathun, correct?
Oh, Karathun, the
Yes. Yeah, because his character name, like his Discord name had like 3 characters on it, so I wanted to confirm which one he was playing.
Oh, okay.
So it would be myself, Sutha, Karathun, and Dariah were present.
Daria.
Sorry.
Sutha, let us begin with you. Do you deny that you saw the murder take place, or do you agree that there was a killing?
I do agree that there was a killing. I would not classify it as a murder as such, but I did see it happen as I was talking to the merchant who did take the arrow to the face, and then immediately after there was a firebolt to the child's face.
Okay. Daria, do you deny any of what these two have said?
I did not steal the cart. In fact, it was not my decision to take it with us to the town.
Actually, yes, I can confirm that as well.
Did you rifle through the man's pockets and attempt to give me his 92 copper?
Out of character, I actually don't remember that.
I can, because you were typing, I can actually pull that up.
Please do.
Okay, what were you also
Because I really don't remember that at all.
I would like to clarify about the cart situation while he's looking that up.
Well, let us get back to Daria. The question at hand is: was Daria? Do you deny or do you agree to murder, to the charge of murder, or to the killing of this?
No, I did kill him, but it was not murder.
I see. Well, we have established at the very least that there is a body that will be recovered. We have established that you did indeed kill someone. Excelsior, what is your reasoning for putting this up and gathering a posse and attempting to convince everyone of a murder?
I am a mercenary by trade. My reputation is my lifeblood. I have never killed a man who had not raised arms against me, had not met me on the field of battle, or had
We are not discussing your
May I?
proclivities towards killing. We are trying to establish why you think this was a murder.
I thought you asked why I brought these charges up. Why I think this was a murder?
Why you
It's
think this is a murder.
The child who Dariah attacked and killed had no weapons, posed no threat. He did not act in a threatening manner. The only thing that the child did was scream as his father was killed before him. Dariah claimed that she could not allow anyone to see her face and decided to kill the child in response to his father being killed. As far as I am aware, that counts as murder.
I see. Sutha, is that an accurate description of the events?
Yes. I was talking to the merchant, and he did not identify himself as a merchant. He did give us his name. He asked if we had a cart full of goods, and then his next statement was, "I will take it all," which apparently Tsar had decided to take as a warning of bandits, which, in all fairness, I was afraid of. I was very nervous about the situation, assuming that they were bandits myself.
Why nervous if it was just a father and his small boy?
Well, for traveling on the road for a couple years, I have seen many many tactics that bandits have used, and a diversion attempt is one of them, and this felt like a diversion attempt if I've seen one.
So your lives were potentially in danger. You did
Indeed.
not feel safe in this area.
We did not, because our cart was in the middle of being repaired. We had just met up with Dariah after 6 days of her sailing down a river on a raft of very poor construction. So who knows what that might have done to her, or what she has experienced during those 6 days. But
I see. Daria, under
Yes.
the spell of truth under which you're currently ensnared, can you relate to me your state of mind?
I can only say that I did not realize that the actions I had done were in fact real until I was told about it several days later. Until then, I thought I was only in a dream.
May I?
By all means.
When I went into town, assembled a local guard, had them search the inn, I saw you run past me after attempting to trick the guard that you were. Goodness,
Say
the
it.
story I'm about to
Say
relate
it.
is not particularly appropriate for mixed company, and I will only relate it with your permission. Those who have delicate consciousnesses might want to cover their ears and avert their eyes.
oh god, my virgin ears.
At this point, I'm going to interrupt. Strange men came into my room and tried to talk to them. I escaped.
They knocked on the door.
And then they grabbed me as I was trying to leave.
No such thing happened.
Do you both adamantly believe your versions of the story? Or are you lying out of character, or are you lying
No,
under
I'm
the
not.
effects
No,
of the
I'm-
truth spell?
My
No, I'm
character
not
was
lying at
good.
all.
The guards never attempted to grapple Dariah. They attempted to question her. She bluffed past them, and then
Persona
she
of
left.
it. Persona of it. Clarify. Didn't the two guys? Yeah, please. That's why you're here.
He is the truth when we forget.
Well, I mean, just asking out of character, am I allowed to say this because I DM'd the session?
So, Personavit, I would like to know exactly what you said happened during the session. I believe that both of these characters do believe what they are telling me is the truth, and that would make sense for a trial. People do remember things differently, especially in situations of stress, as we are dealing with here. So I'm prepared to allow their testimony to stand. What I want to know is what actually happened now, so that I can continue with the session.
What would you like me to recall? Just certain details, or
at this point, I am looking for the details of whether or not Daria was actually manhandled when they were trying to question her.
And this is out of character testimony because I don't
Yes,
think Persona
it does not.
was there.
It does not count as part of the trial.
Yes, that is true.
Okay. Thank you very much. We can now continue. So I see that you both have differing sides of an argument. This happens, and it does lead us nowhere. Let us take a different tack. Daria, do you believe that you are acting in self-defense?
At the time, yes. I thought the child was a bandit and that he was running away to gather reinforcements.
How old do you think the child was?
I don't remember. I only saw the back of his head.
And yet you attacked him in the back with only one source of danger around.
You know, there's many dangers all around. And I couldn't take the risk. I was exhausted. I was dehydrated. I had just spent 6 days out on the river by myself trying to catch up with my own party members.
You were dehydrated after rafting on a freshwater river?
There was out of character, there was a shark in that river. Therefore, it was seawater.
Neither here nor there.
It was a reef shark river.
No, stop.
Makes no sense.
Stop. We're not dealing with that. Daria, can I have a persuasion roll, please?
Ooh.
Thank you very much. As the gentleman here suggests, you still have a problem with letting people see your face. Is that true?
Yes.
Is there a reason that you'd care to share?
Not relevant to this trial.
I see.
Did you not tell me that you could not allow anyone to see your face after killing the child?
Daria doesn't say anything.
Because I would argue that that establishes the motive for the murder, and therefore it is very relevant to this case.
Indeed, I would agree with that. Daria, please answer the question.
She starts fidgeting a lot as she takes her time trying to get the words out. And she looks down and she asks to approach you closer.
As Sutha, your keyboard.
Oh, sorry.
As you make the motion, she stands, and as she walks forward, so does Riffin, her champion, side by side, literally 6 inches apart, her hand resting in a loose grip around her rapier that is still sheathed as Ansip leans in towards you.
Please don't make me answer that.
Is it something you can tell me and me alone?
She looks around, and then she slowly goes up to her ear, and she whispers, "There are people who wish to have me where I don't want to be, and even now, I don't trust those around me. And so this is my only way.
I see. She leans back, and as she walks back towards the small table and chair that she has been sitting at before she takes a seat, you notice that the Riffin the Dragonborn, as she steps away, the steel of her rapier is showing, but it's quickly slid completely back into its scabbard as she rejoins Ansip at her side.
May I ask a supplementary question?
Please, Excelsior, as the accuser continue. You're cutting out, or have cut out, one of the two.
Maybe the Discord died.
Yeah, maybe.
Sorry, I accidentally cast a silence spell.
By the way, if your cleric or paladin is somewhat limited in spells, there is a cleric in the crowd.
We'll give him another second before we continue. Okay. Sutha, can you speak to that?
Speak to what again?
uh,
I'm sorry, I was following a train of thought.
The reason of establishing motive, is there some other reason or motive that
There we go. I apologize.
oh, okay,
so I
he's
just
back.
missed like the last. It's like, oh wow, she's taking a long time to explain why she.
Okay.
To a judge. So like, I'm sorry, I did miss that. I apologize.
Okay, so she explained her reasoning for wanting to have the mass. The magistrate, accepted that, returned to her table. As she did, the champion that's with her, everyone could see that as she had leaned in to speak to the magistrate, that her champion had drawn 6 or so inches of her rapier out of the sheath to make it easy to complete the draw and defend before she resheathed it, and you were beginning to speak.
My question? I'm not sure if like I cut off halfway through that or something.
You said you wanted to ask a question, and the magistrate responded that yes, by all means, as the accuser, you have some time to speak.
Okay, so I'm sorry about that. My question, what I wanted to say was, the entire adventuring party, myself included, have already seen her face. Men and Warforged and women that she had never met before, that she had no reason to trust, yet she does not trust the judge presiding over her murder case to see her face, who would be an individual you would trust more than just somebody in your adventurers guild, a group of mercenaries escorting a cart of cotton and wheat. It seems suspicious to me that I know what her face looks like, but she will not reveal it to a judge.
I agree that is an interesting predicament, but it is her prerogative to hide her face. I understand her predicament. Yeah, by all means.
There are strangers in this crowd. I do not know them. And if it was my choice, I did not realize I was going to find you. When I did, I would have put the mask on earlier.
Would someone indulge a little bit of paranoia, please?
Me?
The court. Indulge my paranoia. Are we sure that the accused before us is in fact Dariah and Tsar?
Yes.
Because I have not.
So as you say that, the judge turns back to you. Are you indeed Dariah, Leandro?
Well, technically, he only knows me by Darcy. I just realized that you've been calling me by my real name this entire time.
You introduced yourself as Dariah.
Oh, yeah, I did. That's right. Thank you. Then, yes.
Yes, dog. Thank you.
Okay. As she is currently under the effects of the same truth spell you are under, there is no need to think that she is not who she says she is. As she has already confessed to the killing, I believe that also establishes her as the same person. At this point, we are not establishing the guilt so much as well, whether it was unjust or not, whether she had cause to think her life was truly in danger. I have heard no good arguments on either side. If you wish to continue, Excelsior, please, if there's other evidence that you would like to bring forward. If not, we will allow the defense a chance to put forth their claims.
Daria, do you agree that when in the town of Ashenport, you, if not escaped from the town guard, would you at least agree with me that you evaded capture, or even that you did not follow me to the town guard? Is that correct?
Yes.
Did you not also tell me that you would submit to the guard after you killed the child?
You did not gather a guard. You gathered bodyguards of some person whom I do not know.
I went to the town guard. You did not believe they were guardsmen. You never relayed that information to me, but I can state with 100% certainty that I did in fact raise the town guard, or at least individuals who presented themselves to me as such, as whom I had no reason to believe that they were not. And you told me that you would submit yourself to the town guard. You ran from the town guard of Ashenport, and yet once we got back to Lerwick, you did submit yourself to the judgment of the guild. I cannot speculate as to why, but that is an inconsistency that I am curious about. It definitely shows to me that you at least believe you are guilty of something criminal.
So your entire accusation for this being a murder versus a justified killing hinges on the fact that you think that in her panic when she realized she had done, she initially fled the guards and then later thought better of it and decided to put herself up for trial?
No, my argument as to why this is a murder and not a justified killing is that the child that she killed posed no threat whatsoever. Especially because my party searched through their belongings and found no weaponry, no indication of banditry, or of them posing a threat.
Agreed, by all means, agreed.
This same party rather soundly killed a hill giant who assaulted us without any damage.
I don't know if that's a server mute. Can you guys still hear him?
What? Me?
What?
I can hear him.
Yeah, I can hear him.
That was better. As he continues talking, his words dry up in his mouth after a second, and as the judge, so much better. I will give you a chance again to speak in a moment. We have already established the fact that she thought she was in danger, and that is done under this truth spell. What I am trying to establish is not the difference between what we were able to determine after the fact, but with what judgment she could have based it at the time of. She has already confessed to killing the child and having done it from behind as she hit it in the back. As such, there is no way for her to know even if he was armed, potentially, if he was carrying the weapon in front of him. So from her point of view, I see no reason to think that she was not, at least in her own mind, defending herself.
I am sorry, and perhaps I should have established this earlier. Might I please ask this jurisdiction's definition of murder? I admit that I am a traveler from a foreign land. The intricacies of different legal codes might differ.
In Waterdeep, we have what we call sanctioned duels to resolve disputes. It is a reason that we still allow trial by combat, which was not requested in this case, and why I've brought Riffin here with me. She motions to the Dragonborn to her side. However, we do like to establish at least some form of level of guilt when we're trying to determine what the punishment for someone should be.
Then, if you simply are talking about the level of guilt and not whether or not the killing was justified, I do submit to you that Daria fled from the town guard rather than submitting to justice.
Daria, do you deny or agree to that additional charge?
The charge being fleeing from town guard?
Yes.
I deny it.
Do we have any others that were present? Sutha, I see you standing here on stage with me. Would you care to chime in? Were you around for any of these events?
Well, I was around for the murder, and I was around at when we reach town, the only thing I can add to this, because I did not see the supposed escape attempt, is that
As you continue your explanation, you hear someone shout out from the crowd, "Popped kernels, get your," and then silence hits as their voice is stopped in the tracks of their mouth. She turns towards the hawker. "I would prefer no more loud interruptions. I will not begrudge you your enterprise, but keep it quiet." She releases the spell, and words come back to your throat as you whisper as you continue through the aisle selling your wares.
All right.
Sutha, please continue. My apologies for the interruption.
Okay. As we did reach town, one of the first people that were contacted was actually not the town guard, but a bodyguard that was hired to supplement the town guard, from what we can tell. And also, he did scream, "Murderer, murderer." And if I were being accused of murder that fast, I don't think I would want to be around in case some of the townspeople decide that it would be in their best interest to take this matter up in their own hands.
I see. Excelsior, do you deny any of what Sutha has just said?
Deny that I spoke to a bodyguard who led me to the town guard? No, I did not approach Daria with the bodyguard. I actually don't know whose body he was guarding, but I had him escort me to the town guard. Additionally, you do not automatically believe the charges of murder that I am putting before Daria, which is fair, just, and laudable. Therefore, I don't believe that it is necessary to assume that Daria would be immediately attacked or lynched for my accusation, especially considering I am obviously a strange individual and foreigner to these lands. I simply am telling people what occurred on the road and hoping to alert the town guard to my presence.
I see. That seems not unreasonable, but you can see how a shout of murderer might cause someone to panic.
She did tell me that she would submit to the justice of the guard.
You cut out again, Excelsior. We'll give him another second to fix it.
Okay, apparently I cut out mid-sentence. What was the last thing you... I think there's something wrong with that US.
It's hard to tell. You're cutting in and out a little bit still.
Again. Can you hear me? Hello? Hello? 1,
Yep.
2, 3.
Yep.
Okay.
We can
What
hear
was
you.
the last thing you heard me say?
The last thing that I said was that you can understand why someone might panic, and you were saying that she had said that she would submit to the town guard.
Yes, and she went back on that promise. So to me, that establishes guilt if she agreed that the killing of the child was worse, bringing the attention of the guard, and yet once I actually did so, she attempted to flee.
A soft, melodious chuckle escapes her lips as she leans back in her chair with a small laugh. "I have seen completely innocent men, women, and children run from the law at the shout of a crime, and you think an adventurer is better. I've deemed to notice that adventurers are normal people just like any other." So our charges stand: the killing of one small child, and the fleeing and subsequent return to guard custody to await trial, upon which she has been a good inmate, turning towards
Does anybody that was guarding me here?
turning towards the guards that's behind him, behind Daria, who nods. Daria, I'm assuming that you have been a good prisoner.
Yeah, I haven't done anything in character that would constitute trying to escape, making a mess of things. I've just followed the advice of my quote unquote lawyer. Shut up, Jerry. Nobody knows that.
And it is not important to this case either. As
I'm sorry.
sorry, my wife was just laughing at something else too, so it caught me off a little off guard. Sutha, you were going to say something?
No, I'm just reading the chat, and that is not true, actually.
All right. Anyways,
Per son of it, you would like to say something else?
No. I
Are you-
take my statement back.
Okay.
I have been refuted.
I was
Yeah. I just quickly raise my hand and about to do the Phoenix Wright pose for objection. And then Excelsior just kind of starts patting at paper, like the way he does it. And I'm like, sorry. I'll come back down.
Well, Excelsior, have I heard all of your it seems like there are two charges, the charge of murder and the charge of fleeing arrest.
Oh, I'm sorry, and theft and attempted bribery.
And we have not touched on I've heard that Dariah
She-
took coins from one of the...
And tried to give them to me, and I absolutely refused. She said that I was a mercenary and I would accept the payment for the killing, and I absolutely refused to accept them. I threw them back in her face. To be clear, she took the coins from the child's dead father, who she did not kill, but she still stole from a corpse. That's still theft.
Understood. Dariah, do you agree or disagree with this claim?
To which of the many claims are you referring?
Let us start at the beginning then, shall we? The theft from the boy's father
Considering
after
that,
he was dead.
considering that no one took the coins, I believe there was no theft.
You took them from his pocket and attempted to give them to me. Is that correct?
Sorry, Excelsior, you are not the questioner here. We are dealing with one of the charges at a time. Number one,
To answer his questions,
did you take the coins from the body?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. Did you offer them to Excelsior as a bribe?
She turns back to get a cue from Sutha, because she honestly doesn't know at this point.
I do remember that there was coins exchanged and then promptly thrown back. As far as what happened afterwards, I am unaware.
All right.
Did you intend to bribe him is what we're trying to
No, I did not.
ascertain. I see.
He was the one that was concerned with the bodies. I do not remember my state of mind, but I do remember that. And I kind of look back at him and
I glare.
so angry. You're so angry. I think I gave them to you so you could bury them, and that would be the payment. I don't know, ma'am. I am sorry.
It's fine, I guess. We will know more when the boy arrives. So, murder, bribery. Do you deny trying to escape, at least initially, from
That I
the
do
law?
remember. I do remember that clearly.
I do too.
And I never said which guards I would give myself up to.
As Excelsior, as you begin to speak, you get basically the stink eye from Ansip as she turns back towards Dariah. Which guards did you intend to submit to, Dariah?
The ones that I did.
I see.
The ones here.
Did my headset cut out again? No. Okay.
No, you're okay.
Sorry. Every awkward silence I'm now assuming is because it went fakakta.
Agreed. So we have the charge of murder, we have the bribe, and the escape. It sounded
Theft.
like you wanted theft added to the list. What happened to the coins, Daria, that you took from the
I left them in
corpse?
the cart.
No, you did not.
Sutha, would you care to enlighten us, as we have rather an impasse between what these two believe is the truth?
Again, I am unsure of whether or not the coins were placed back into the cart, as I was trying to sort the situation out in a peaceful manner, as it was turning very hostile.
May I?
Sure.
I was handed a sum of 92 copper coins, and I threw them back at Dariah. If she collected the coins and put them back in the cart, she would remember the minutes spent hunting for small copper coins on the forest floor.
Okay, so then most likely they are left on the forest floor.
Dariah, did you collect the coins after they were tossed back at you?
No.
So they exist on a floor somewhere in the forest where the body was slain?
Yes, I don't have my purse on me, but I don't carry copper. I don't think I carry copper.
Would you present it to the court for counting?
Out of character, I have no idea where my belongings are at, so
One of the guards behind you pulls out a small purse that is tied to his waist and hands it to the magistrate. I can gather the rest of her belongings if it is necessary. She's like, no, unless, Daria, you keep your coin somewhere besides your belt pouch.
no. The cloak and this dress are all that I own at the moment.
Okay. She opens the pouch and holds it out to Riffin, who quietly ticks through it. What does she find in there?
74 gold pieces and 8 silver pieces are what's on my character sheet.
Okay. And there's nothing else of significance in the pouch?
A signet ring. And, oh, yeah, you would probably find the scroll.
Scroll of what?
Pedigree. It comes with the noble background.
Okay. As Riffin leans down and holds the pouch open, giving the magistrate view of something inside the purse, you see her spread her thumb and forefinger apart as if dragging paper apart. And Daria, you know exactly what is being seen inside of
Can't do anything about that right now.
inside of the pouch. So she has a quick read of that before her fingers collapse back together, allowing whatever is in there to roll itself inside the pouch before she cinches it and hands it directly back to the guard, who ties it at his belt right next to his own pouch, and resumes his position behind you.
Would she be connected to the nobility at all? Because she might recognize the name.
The magistrate is a magistrate of Waterdeep, so...
Nope. Oh, actually, I mean, we can do a roll, but that's completely up to you.
For the sake of this, I'm going to say that she doesn't know who it is, but she recognizes the type of document. Waterdeep keeps meticulous records on things of this nature.
Sounds good.
At this time, there is a whoosh of air as a few of the benches are knocked aside in a position that a few of them had encroached on the open area where Arisian and Lee had disappeared from. The time of your questioning seeming to have eaten up the hour that Arisian said that she would be gone. You see her collapsed onto the ground on her knees, breathing heavily, and Air is standing there in front of her, boot just barely touching Arisian's hand where she's currently clasped around his ankle. He is carrying a wrapped, what looks to be a small body. Sorry, Air. I always mess that up. Air, you look down to see Arisian not standing there holding your shoulder like she was previously, and you do notice that the that she has basically fallen to her knees and is now at the hold of just your ankle. You could tell that last teleportation was rough, to say the least. You are glad to be standing on 2 feet again on solid ground.
Can I go source a chair from somewhere?
There's plenty of chairs and stuff right around the area you're in. In fact, you've blown a few people. Arisian's magic has blown a few people out of their chairs that were sitting had encroached on the space from which she had.
I steal one of their chairs and sit her in it, and setting down the child beforehand.
As you do that, James walks up and gives her a health potion draught. She sits there panting as she allows herself to be fed the liquid. She seems to perk up slightly before she reaches out for James to give her a hand to her feet and to take her back to her quarters. She excuses herself, saying she needs to rest. Okay. Lee, you are standing in the opening there now, still holding the body, as the magistrate turns to you and says, "Ah, yes, you are back. Maybe we can finally put a close to some of the bigger portions of this trial. Would you bring that up here, please?"
Yeah, and I just carefully walk up wherever she's sitting.
Okay, so she's sitting at a table. The table is not big enough for the body to fit on. She motions for you to set the body down in front of the table between her and Dariah, just in front of as well where Sutha and Excelsior are standing.
Yeah, so I'm assuming I have the child by like the break of the knees and behind the neck.
Yep.
Yeah, so I'm just gonna set the child down very softly and walk back off the.
Okay. The child is covered and wrapped in a sheet that has started to stain with the decomposition of the body that has started on the bottom. Dario, what was that?
Oh, I can't look at the body right now.
Okay. Hold on one sec.
Oh God, we're not actually doing that. We're not actually gonna have another session, are we?
No.
Oh.
Well,
Really
sorry. People are PMing me about other things that are happening in chat, and I'm not paying attention wholly to what is going on there, assuming that they're at least keeping it down. As you set the body down, you see the magistrate stand and step to the up to the body. She places one hand on her forehead as a radiant energy seems to begin to glow off of her form from all around. You see it slowly leach up through her body just to the hand that is touching her forehead. And as she pulls the hand away, you see the symbol of Helm on her forehead and the back of her hand as she touches it to the dead body of the boy through the sheet. As she does, the symbol disappears and that radiant energy flows into the corpse. As she does that, a ghostly figure seen only to Dariah, the magistrate, Riffin, Excelsior, Sutha, floats up from the form in a ghostly apparition manner. In the daylight that is currently happening, the form is barely visible. "Hello again, little one. How are you?" the magistrate begins. There is a whispered cadence that comes from the ghost that is unintelligible to you, but she seems to understand. "Now, to the main questions. Are you indeed a merchant? And I would like per son of it, if you could join us in voice, that would be great. Would you care to take care of the child for me, please?"
Oh, I'd love to be a little dead kid.
Thank you.
So, just as a preliminary thing, as it kind of like rises up from the corpse, the body like looks really solemn, and then it just goes, ah! Finishing the last thing it was about to say. So,
Okay.
now I'm ready.
Okay. Tell us, little one, do you have a name?
I didn't expect that shit.
Answer my own name.
I didn't.
Just call him Thomas or some shit.
So Thomas? No, I got the name. All right. My name is Peter.
So I gotta mute myself.
Nice to meet you. To meet you. Nice to meet you, little one. We have some.
Where's my daddy?
He is where he is
They
from
don't
where
actually
you
ask
came.
questions.
Oh, they don't. Okay.
You're fine. This is a little bit stronger of a casting than just typical speak with dead.
Okay.
You are free to interact. You seem slightly enamored with the magistrate who is standing in front of you. You see her form, unlike everyone else, you see her form blessed in basically a radiant golden glow. Yeah. She looks kind of like an angel to you.
Are you sure?
I mean, potentially. I mean, that would be your up to your interpretation.
All right, fine. I'll let it. That's funny.
Yeah. You're not exactly. Yeah, it's not like a charm effect. It's more of a like. She just looks a little bit more substantial. She looks like she glows with an energy, unlike everything else around you, which seems to be ethereal, basically. It's like as you turn, looking at each of the people standing around you in turn, it's as if you could see right through them, whereas with her, there is a stopping of your vision. It settles on her form, and you can see that glow radiating from her.
Mommy! Daddy said you would come back as an angel.
Little one, please, if you would answer some of our questions. Is it this one behind you that killed you?
And you're pointing towards Dariah?
Yes.
Yeah, the little ghost boy is going to turn around, and he's gonna look at Dariah and say, I don't know who killed me. All I know is that an arrow hit Papa, and then I was going to run, but everything went black. And then
do you know what
tunnel?
A long tunnel?
There was light. And then there was uncanny darkness. That's all there is when you die. Darkness.
As you continue your explanation, the magistrate lets you continue talking until you expend all of your breath before continuing to question you.
Okay.
Do you know the manner by which you died? Was it hot or cold or piercing or bludgeoning? Do you remember the last things you felt?
I felt tears coming out of my eyes. And my voice feeling hoarse after screaming Papa. But I did feel very, 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 very warm on my right cheek.
Thank you, little one. And you did not see from where the heat came?
Wait. Oh, nice. No, I was focusing on shit. What do you call it whenever you like whip the horses to make them go?
Whipping?
I mean, yeah, but it's the rain.
Mushing?
Yeah, I was mushing
How old are you, little one?
Fuck. I didn't know I had to write a damn backstory about this kid. I'm 8 years old.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I got it. My improv skills are good. I'm 8
You're
years
fine.
old.
When Dariah hears that, she's going to accidentally start sobbing and gonna have to like go on her knees because she can't stand anymore.
Can I have a charisma save? Then?
Charisma save?
Yes.
Wow.
Okay. You are wholeheartedly bawling as you have fallen to your knees out of the chair in which you were previously sitting. One of the guards steps forward quickly, but resumes as he sees that you're just there on the ground. Excelsior, you all hear what the ghost has been saying, and as the magistrate turns to you, is there anything you would like to ask the little one?
I sigh. I state that I am not the most tactful individual. I would not know how to console a child who lost his father, let alone one who immediately after lost his life. I would ask him if he remembered what. This is gonna sound like out of character. Out of character, this is gonna sound like a really dick thing. I'm just double checking. The ghost is also in the zone of truth, right?
It's not affected because it wasn't.
It's
in
not.
the
Yeah.
zone
Not
when
one
it
of.
was cast.
Wait, it's
but
not.
As soon as you enter the zone, you come under its effect. Unfortunately, this is a ghostly creature, but the spell that was cast on it does not allow it to lie.
Okay, all right, double check. Not even just lie. Just make sure like the kid doesn't remember.
It should be telling the truth to the best of its ability, according to what I have written down here for the spell.
Back into character. When you were riding up with your father before his untimely passing, if you can tell us what happened, what you saw. God fucking damn it!
Daddy says not to use those words. Those are
I'm sorry.
What is that device ringing in your pocket?
Could you please?
Yes, little one, please enumerate the events that led up to your demise from your approach, preferably from your approach, the set of adventurers.
Just gonna point out that someone else is here.
No, he isn't.
We're still dealing with this trial.
Yeah. Should I mute myself then?
You're fine. Yeah, go ahead and mute yourself for now. If I need to pull you in, I will.
Well, Daddy said we going on a long trip. And he said we had to bring tomatoes and lettuce.
Little one, please start with your approach to the adventurers. And as the magistrate says that, she begins to glow with an exceptional, even more radiant energy than she was before.
Okay, Mommy. Well. Oh, God. Okay. Well, we woke up and we were going down the trail after about 5.5 hours. Maybe it was 5 hours and 47 minutes. I don't remember the exact amounts. But what happened was that we were going down the trail and we saw this other group of people at the riverbank. And Daddy said, hold on, son. I'm going to talk to these guys. And I was like, okay, Daddy. And I heard him be like, I want your stuff. And then the guys were like, okay. And he was like, I'll take it all. And then it's fun. And we'll go through
It's okay. Deep breaths. Let it go. As you feel her step forward and put a consoling touch on your shoulder, you can actually feel her hand as it rests on your ghostly form.
Okay. The annoying screeching noise stops.
Okay. Can you please repeat that last bit? He said what exactly to the adventurers?
Well, if I remember correctly, on the 27th of May at 5:59 p.m., he said, "I'll take it all." And then an arrow went through his head. Where is he?
Shh, little one. as she removes the hand.
Details are not needed. Push your hand, he immediately goes back to
She replaces her hand on his shoulder, the flowing energy from her form seeming to intensify and bring some calm to the spirit. Daria, please, is there anything you wish to ask the creature in your defense?
Daria only heard the first part of that, which was, is there anything else you'd like to ask the creature? And she looks up, and she's bawling her eyes out right now.
You can barely see the ghostly form through your bleary eyes. The ghost turning to you with a smile on its face, saying that everything is okay, and mommy says, etc.
It's okay. Mommy says that crying is natural and it's God's way of letting us know things will get better. Except for me, because I died and there's only darkness and no God. But anyway, how are you?
Daria asks, through tears, if he can forgive her.
What did you do?
Yeah, she's gone. I bet.
Did she kill herself?
No.
No.
I win?
She's gone. She's inconsolable. She's hands on her eyes, tears down her face. Glad she didn't do makeup. Glad she didn't have time to do makeup.
What?
Okay.
It's not like you killed me.
with the
the kid's in the zone of truth.
Yeah.
That was out of character.
It's A, it's in the zone of truth, and B, the spell upon which it I can't even speak. I'm sorry. Upon it was cast, forces it doesn't have any charisma anymore.
I mean, we can use the stats for a ghost.
Again, James, remember that the spell that she cast is far more powerful than Speak with Dead and does not exist in the rules. Please just let it go, people. Let it go.
Let it go.
I'm going to track you down, and I swear to God.
As she lifts, the magistrate lifts her hands. The ghostly form begins to disappear. The wailing begins again, rising in pitch before slowly disappearing as the form sinks back into the body.
Oh, before the form completely disappears, can we get the sound of it dying again?
Yes.
No.
Yes. So what happens is that if you guys have seen Ghostbusters, which you should have because it's an American classic, imagine kind of like that little like ghost trap where it's like, and the freaking ghost is getting sucked into it, and so the ghost is basically going like, and I quote, "No, that's not good. That's only darkness. No."
Well, I'm fucked up.
The magistrate turns back towards Air. You can return that at your leisure. I would suggest a internment somewhere in the city temporarily. after that spell is cast, things have been known to, let us just say, they've been known to come back for a short while.
Guys, I have to close chat. Jesus Christ.
Oh, wait, hold on. Can I do like a final? Hold on, wait.
No, you're done. You're done.
Indeed, the corpse is being taken off stage by air.
You called.
Yes, you're taking the corpse back somewhere to be interned for the short period it'll take before it can be retransferred back to Ashenport. You have been warned that the creature, the spell upon which she cast upon the boy, can cause it to rise again temporarily for a little bit, and so it should be interned somewhere where it cannot escape, preferably.
Jesus.
I'm assuming putting it in a bag would be a bad thing.
The
In
body?
what?
Yeah.
In a bag of holding?
No, not in a bag of holding. Crap, no.
Just a tote bag?
No, it's a body bag.
I mean, it's not a bad idea to do that in addition, but she suggests that somewhere with thick stone walls and a thick stone roof would be preferable. Or maybe a cave with a guard, or three.
I got a house.
The son of it pipes up and says, "You need to hide a body?"
I don't know. You're probably the wrong person about that. Let's not get into that. I take it back to my house.
Okay.
That's
not going to turn out. That's not going to turn out terribly later. I look for another set.
There's another child coming up here in a day or two.
I see on your character sheet, his name is Albert Fish. No one got that reference. God damn it.
Okay. As the body is taken off stage, the magistrate begins speaking again. I believe that I have heard all sides of this case. Is there any closing arguments either party would like to make before we have a ruling?
I'm just gonna do an insight check to just try to see if I can just get a general feel for how the judge is leaning.
Okay.
It's not gonna be very high. Not very high at all.
No.
You have absolutely no idea which direction she is currently leaning. Her the facade that she puts up as she judges is, in your eyes, unbreakable.
I think at this time, I think at this point, Rin would probably want to read his thing.
Oh yeah.
Because he worked hard on that, and I really want him to be able to say that he read it.
Okay. Is he here to read it, or are you reading it for him?
I don't have it. You have it.
Oh, I thought I had sent it to you as well. This thing is like pages and pages long. So
is this Gren's testimony for Nil and Tsar and Dariah?
So here's the deal. I am going to post it in chat.
There we go.
And yes, wall incoming. I'm going to post it in chat. I've already read through everything, so all of this is understood to have been said at some point during this trial. Are there any other closing arguments that you would like to make, Daria?
I just want to say, please, you have to believe me. I wasn't in the right mind when it happened. I would never do something like that.
Haj, I have the actual link if you don't want to wall.
I'll wall them. Hold on. As long as nobody's typing in between, it should be fine.
Yeah, can everyone not type for a while?
It won't take me that long to finish putting this in.
No, I mean like just so everyone can read it.
Yeah. I'll post it when it's done.
Thank you.
When the spam is over.
Wait, there's a recording of this?
Yeah,
there is a document of it. And
I think somebody's recording sound.
Are you writing down all the sounds?
Okay, that's what Gren had to say. If you would like the full text of it, it is also located there.
Double spammed.
I shall copy that.
My link is different. Why?
Because I just have the view link.
Ah. I should delete it.
Oh yeah. You're right. Copy that one.
Okay. So back to closing arguments. Daria, is there anything that you would like to say in your defense?
yeah, after he gives this big old speech, and I just say, please believe me, I would never have done something like this if I hadn't known. I wasn't in the right mind. I wasn't. Oh God, I'm sorry.
Excelsior, Daria, having finished your closing arguments, I need one more persuasion roll from you, please. Or any other skill that you would have been trying to use during your closing arguments to put your point across. And if you're going to use another skill besides persuasion, I would like to know how you're using that skill.
I'm just gonna take a minute or two to read through this. I'm assuming that Gren was zone of might have some things I want to pick apart from that, unless you out of character think that would bog down the trial too much.
By all means, go ahead and start reading it.
All right. I'm
So
gonna
how's
have to
everyone
open up a Word
doing?
document.
Daria,
Clack
is
goes
there
to keyboard.
another skill besides persuasion you would like to be using while he's reading that as part of your closing arguments?
I'm assuming probably something I'm proficient in, right?
You can. Typically I say that you can use whatever skill you would like off of your character sheet, as long as you can justify how it's used and give me the full RP reason as to how that skill is going to be helping you.
I don't want to make a speech, so I would just do persuasion.
Okay, so you're sticking with your standard persuasion roll. That's fine. Go ahead and roll.
All right. Is that right? I just want to double check.
Punch the opposition.
There we go. 20 plus. Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna Tides of Chaos that. If you'll let me.
Okay. Yep.
Oh, that's not bad.
Okay.
When did that get updated?
Okay. Excelsior, is there any piece of closing argument that you would like to add to...
I'm not sure about the closing argument, but I would like to refute part of Gren's testimony regarding Dariah.
Daria. Daria. Say it with me. Daria.
Daria?
Daria.
Say it with
Daria.
me. Thank you.
When Daria came back to the group riding on her raft, she did not appear to be delirious, dehydrated, starving, or even injured. In fact, it was clear that she had had a meal while on the raft. She had time to cook herself fish, which she got from the river.
Actually, I burnt the fish. I rolled a 1 on my cooking check.
You still ate it.
Okay.
It's his closing argument, so you can't actually interrupt him. If you would
So-
refrain from any more interruptions, I would appreciate it.
Sorry.
The argument is that this woman was not in her right mind when she rejoined us, that she was delirious from her long journey. And I'm not going to disagree that her journey was unpleasant. This is a life of unpleasantness. But not of her right mind, that I do not agree. If she were not in her right mind, would she be able to cast a spell? If she was so rattled, so absolutely gobsmacked by her experience, could she actually fling a firebolt with such accuracy to hit a small child in the back of the head, kill him in an instant, that she would then be able to hold a conversation with me after the murder of a child, telling me her motive, that she would be of sound enough mind to rifle through the pockets of a dead man, to engage in hypotheticals such as submitting to a guard, which she now claims was not the guardsman that I actually brought to take her. I must soundly disagree that this woman was not in her right mind. I must soundly disagree that she was not in mens rea. You must understand, she told me in her own words, which she does not refute, why she killed the child. And it was not fear. She did not believe the child was a bandit. She did not want the child to see her face. That is what she told me. That is her motive. I do not believe we need to establish any more for a case of murder. She was smart enough to think into the future of damage to her reputation. That is not the actions of a mind which is not rational. Thank you and good evening.
Okay. Is there a specific skill that you would like to use during that speech?
I'm debating whether or not to make it performance or persuasion. They're equal roles for my character, so...
What would your character choose to do? Would it be more theatrical, how they did the explanation, or would it be more making and stating your case?
I think stating the case. I'm going to roll persuasion.
Okay.
Double check that. Fuck.
Okay. Magistrate nods. If there are no other arguments, she pauses for a half a second before she just continues, understanding that she's already given you both time to speak, and that her last statement is just a formality, before she continues. We will handle the charges, well, one at a time, shall we? On the charge of murder, I find the defendant not guilty. I do, however, find them guilty of manslaughter. The typical crime for that is a payment to the family of the deceased to a total of 1,000 gold pieces, or service to that family for 3 years. As it is my understanding that the immediate family in question are all deceased, this service or gold donation shall be made to the community from which these folks originated. The reparations will be used to improve town function, and will be handled directly by the governor or mayor, or leader of said community. Daria, to which of these sentences do you wish to submit?
Are you giving me a choice?
Yes, you can either pay 1,000 gold to the community or 3 years of service.
I will pay 1,000 gold to the community.
Okay. On the charge of bribery, I find insufficient that an actual bribe was attempted. As such, no judgment and no record of this crime shall be recorded. On the charge of theft from a corpse, I find that the taking of wealth from the deceased to be a sufficient reason for the conviction. As such, the defendant is required to spend 1 week in a prison in addition to their time already spent, or pay an additional 100 gold to the community aforementioned. Which would you prefer? 1 week in jail or
100 gold?
Yep.
Again, I will pay the gold.
Okay. For the final charge of resisting arrest or the unlawful expedition from the from your arrest, I find you to ultimately be not guilty, as you submitted to a town guard and have held yourself in good standing in the time that you have been incarcerated. Both of these, only the theft and the manslaughter will go on public record. And as she says that, she sits down and begins filling out some more information on the papers in front of her. It takes her a scant half a second to finish filling out the page. As she switches the pages aside, you see that there are 4 identical copies of exactly what she had written on the top sheet. And she asks you to all come forward and sign the papers. As you all come forward and make your signatures across all of the sheets, she carefully stacks up all the rest of them and hands one to the guard, asking him to deliver it to Arisian for her records, and that she will take the remaining 3 copies to copies to Waterdeep for the appropriate filing. With that, she says, addresses Dariah directly. You are free to go. I expect your payments to be rendered within the fortnight to Waterdeep. The collection offices are noted on the form which I have just sent to be filed with Arisian. Your immediate compliance with the paying of your fees is paramount to not getting into more trouble.
Thank you, Magistrate, for hearing my words.
With that, the first trial is starting to wrap up as people begin to mill and sift about. The magistrate sits back down, making a few more notes in a small notebook that she pulls from. Tsar, are you around?
Oh, I wanted to...
He wasn't around a second ago, but you see he pops out
I
of
would really like to hear in character why this is manslaughter and not murder.
because he said so.
So it is considered manslaughter because I believe that she had probable cause for believing that her life was in danger.
From
bandits. I have it from everyone here that was in the Zone of Truth, which you now have realized has faded, that you were in an area which held bandits, and according to her belief of what she thought was happening under the Zone of Truth, she believed that she was attacking a bandit. Therefore, she had cause, even if it was incorrect, to make her attack. As such, she is fined the requisite amount for manslaughter, or given the appropriate requirements for service if she cannot pay.
And before she moves on, I would like to ask the magistrate if I could get a public apology from Excelsior.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Now that I have found not guilty of murder.
Your little quarrels are beneath me. Please exit the stage.
I leave.
That reminds me, can somebody be held in contempt of court here?
Of course they could. Everyone that has been here for the trial noticed that the judge was willy-nilly casting silence on people as their first warning. Okay. Tsar, are you around? Do you see the...
Yeah, he was in his classic disguise of glasses and a fake mustache in the crowd, but he came out. It's like, hey guys, it's me. I bet you didn't know it was me.
But it was me, Dio.
No anime.
Yeah.
Get out of here.
Okay. So what are you doing, Tsar?
Approaching the stand or whatever.
Approaching the
Hey,
stage. Okay.
Can I just like take that punishment and skip the trial? Yeah, that sounds
I
good.
would like
for
to
me.
add more charges in murder.
More charges than I have fewer. If anything, I have fewer charges than
You also participate in theft, and I
I did
believe
not.
I at
I
least
specifically didn't participate in that.
I might have a case for intimidation.
I specifically did neither of those things. I just sat in the
Your
hay bale and
associates
shot.
did. Your associates threatened to kill me.
Gentlemen,
Good thing I'm not my associate.
gentlemen. I will not hear these types of arguments in such a haphazard manner. If you wish to wait but a moment, Tsar, was it?
That is correct.
Please join us on stage. Feel free to have a seat across from me.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. She finishes up making a few notes in the notebook before she closes it and tucks it back into her robes, facing you. And you would be the other culprit, the one that did not submit to a ruling.
Could you repeat that? My headphones accidentally disconnected the last bit.
It's okay. You would be the other culprit, the one that did not submit to the guards.
I would have submitted to guards if it hadn't been with a mob behind them. If I could have just been taken along quietly, perhaps.
Sure, we will get to that more in detail. But you are the other culprit.
I am indeed.
I see.
I am this person of who you speak.
By which method do you wish to be tried this evening?
The way in which I get to simply choose the punishment to take that and continue on with my life.
That is not exactly how court works. You obviously still have the same options as your predecessor: trial by combat, trial by ordeal, trial by wit, or trial by my verdict.
Out of character. If it's trial by wit, are we just like playing charades or something? Like
you're literally playing a game of her choosing, and winning means that you are innocent of all charges. Losing means you are guilty of all charges.
As your lawyer, just in your mind, you hear telepathically, "Do the combat one."
Can I choose one of my own characters for a combat champion?
As long as they're plus or minus one level from your current character, yes.
Oh. Yeah, they're like 5 levels higher, so never mind.
Originally, you did say you wanted to do trial by wit. Is that still your...
Since I don't know the actual terms of the thing, it's not as clear as, combat where you just fight. I think I'll go
Well,
with,
let us clarify the terms.
Yeah,
Let us clarify the terms then. Yeah. Excelsior, as the accuser again, I assume, would you care to elaborate on the charges upon which you'd like to place?
Murder, theft, intimidation.
Okay. I even have proficiency in intimidation.
Hold on one second. I'm reading through lists of crimes to see what some of these would...
and evading arrest.
Okay, Okay, good. I know exactly what those are for Waterdeep, so let's continue.
What are?
All of the charges that he put against you, what their equivalent would be in the Waterdeep legal realm.
Okay.
So, what...
by which
method? Yeah. So basically the way the game works is you can win or lose, and that determines your guilt. The amount by which you lose will determine the amount of guilt that you should be present. Basically, you would be facing off with her in a game. The game specifically has the following rules. You need 10 points to win. A player can choose to do any of the following actions: work for a single point at DC 15 using one of their skills, work for 2 points at DC 18, work for 1 point and try and take a point from the other player, giving you a plus a point and the other player minus a point at DC 20, or setting up for the next move to reduce the DC of your next attempt, which reduces the DC by 3.
That's the wits, not ordeal.
That's the wits. You want to know what the trial by ordeal is?
Sure.
Trial by ordeal encompasses 10 separate physical challenges, things like holding your breath underwater, basically being waterboarded, things like holding a red hot piece of steel for as long as you can, in comparison with potentially with another champion. Things like being starved for a week, only given water, things of that nature, things that have been known to leave permanent lasting effects on characters.
And it's a competition in that one?
Technically, you are just trying to survive. So in this instance, yeah, yep, surviving is winning, exactly.
If you survive, the gods grant you their favor. That's the logic.
Yep.
Well, that all sounds really dicey, so I'm gonna go with the actual presenting evidence and the easier one, I guess.
Okay.
So I was gonna choose wits and just pose a riddle and win immediately. I'm not hey, if the gods really favor you, they'll just give you the answer, right?
Not exactly how trial by wits works. As soon as you pick trial by wits, then your opponent, the magistrate in this case, would be picking the game. Okay, so you would like to do trial by jury, just like Daria?
Since she didn't get executed or deleted, yeah, I'll go with that one since it seems a little bit more favorable.
Okay. You feel a warming energy come over you as the magistrate mutters something under her breath, and Sutha and Excelsior are brought back to the stage as other people of evidence. Daria is requested to have her presence rejoin the stage as a witness for the future events. As the questioning begins, Excelsior, you state that murder is your first charge against the accused.
Yes, I do.
Please elaborate on exactly what occurred.
Well, as you might have heard from... Can we introduce testimony from the previous trial?
Of course, it is all acceptable.
So, as I'm sure you've heard from myself, others, and from the ghost of Peter, a merchant approached my party on the road while making repairs to our wagon, hailed us, introduced himself to us, asked if our goods were for sale, and then stated, and I quote, "I'll take it all." As far as I'm aware, he did not do so as a threat. He did not do so at an unusually loud volume. I do admit that it was somewhat of an odd phrasing, but not a threat or a call for attack. Our friend was presumably hidden somewhere among our belongings, if not in the cart. I believe he is the only person in our party who owned a short bow. Was that the murder weapon used?
Yep.
I believe he's the only person who owned or potentially knew how to use a short bow. Before anyone could react to the merchant, a arrow rang through the air, and removed the merchant's head. Once we got into town, as you all know, I attempted to get the attention of the town guard.
We understand. Hold. We're just addressing the murder. We'll go charge by charge this time. Hopefully that will keep us from spiraling out of control like the last trial. As you see her bring a hand up to her temple, you can see that her patience is starting to wear thin. To this charge of murder, Tsar, do you agree or disagree?
I agree that an arrow was fired and a man died. I do not, however, agree upon the pretense.
And your proposed pretense?
I first of all, let me just go back to the wall of text.
Uh, if I may, persuade Tsar to allow his lawyer to speak, or just not. Yeah, sure. Persanova's gonna stand up and brush his clothes off and ask to approach the stand.
By all means, the more the merrier, as she motions you up to the stage. Sorry, my dogs are having a conniption. I will be back in 1 second.
Woo! I'm not in jail. That's all.
My apologies. I am back. By all means, join us on the stage. Your name is?
Personova.
She might.
Objection.
You object to his name?
I object to Personovic's presence as this man's lawyer. He is a admitted member of a criminal guild, and he threatened to kill me.
Hold on.
I object to your presence here. You
Your Honor, by
threatened to
that
kill me.
logic,
People
then,
don't know about the
Excelsior-
masks.
Yes.
Hold on. As as Personovit, as you enter the stage, you feel a washing of warmth come over you. Do you resist?
Not at all.
Okay. You are now under the effects of the zone of truth,
Very
as
well.
is everyone else on stage. Okay. So, Excelsior, you are objecting to this man being his lawyer on the grounds.
He threatened me, attempted to kill me, and admitted that the two of them are both members of some sort of syndicate.
May I,
Is this true, Personovit?
I have my
Well.
evidence in Lobby 1.
if I may, syndicate is not the correct term for this. It is merely a clan within the Hawthorne Guild, which is comprised of men with special skills who
I'm
are able
sorry,
to
what race are you?
promote.
What does that
Pardon?
matter?
You said
What?
they're a clan. That
What?
means you're related by bloodline. This man is a cat person, a tabaxi, I believe.
Are you
we don't-
you're really gonna do that over
we
a
don't-
choice
we
of
don't
words?
we don't discriminate here. So anyway, we are trying our best to benefit the Hawthorne Guild by not drawing much attention. We apologize if something may have happened, but we can't allow everything to be perfect. As for the threatening, one, I was a little hot-headed at the time of saying that. I apologize for that. But if I may call a witness to the stand, perfect timing, Carathum, if I may.
By all means, we are not here to discuss your guilt, and words are not actions. Excelsior would do good to remember this. We are here to judge Tsar's actions and no other crimes.
Oh, that is related to one of his crimes.
My words?
The charge of intimidation.
We will get to the charge of intimidation in due time. We are currently dealing with the murder charge. Please, your witness.
I will hold my. I will hold bringing Carathum up to the stand. Then I'll wait for intimidation to come around.
Okay, Carathon is joining everyone on stage.
I'll have him nearby, ready.
How do you expect him to testify if he's not on the stage?
True. Yeah, so he's just standing next to me.
Okay, he walks up. The zone of truth. The feeling of warmth passes over him. Does he submit?
Jonathan! Shit.
Whose character is this that you've called forward?
He's in the chat. There he is. He's typing right now. I don't know if he can talk right now. I kind of.
Oh, it's
Oh shit!
gonna save me.
Well, when the time comes around, may
Don't
I
text and drive.
kind of. When the time comes around, may I ask for his assistance? And I know what he would say.
Okay, so he'll be just sitting off in the stands, just off the stage, ready to be pulled forward should that be necessary. So your arguments on your client's behalf to the charge of murder.
Yes.
What be they?
Wait, repeat the question.
Your client has been charged with murder,
Yeah.
as you so put it. The charge standing that your client shot the merchant, or sorry, the what's he?
The merchant.
Merchant. Sorry, with a short bow, was it? Dislodging his entire head. A shot I wish I could have seen.
For clarification, the shot actually did not dislodge the head.
Yeah, that's not possible.
Removed.
Yeah.
It is interesting
disintegrated.
that this machine does not know the basic workings of flight of arrows and strength of human head. Maybe
But anyway,
he is perhaps arrogant of his own metal body, that he thinks that we are all fragile and blow like leaf in wind.
Small details are not needed. Continue.
The small details are needed if he is going to.
Shut
If
up!
my
I'm
if my
defending
head
you,
is
damn
on
it.
the line.
Sorry, come on, man. Work with me. Sorry, go ahead.
So your arguments as to why it was not murder?
Yes, that thing. The thing we are doing. That
Yes.
I am presenting here now. Yes.
You see a modicum of just like a slight shake to her head as you continue speaking.
So, it is to my understanding that the areas around Lerwick are not the safest of places, which is why we need adventurers such as ourselves to be diligent in our efforts of clearing such dangers out.
As we have heard
Now,
in the previous case, it has been testified that the woods are not safe.
Yes.
All
And-
parties agree on this.
All right. So, it is to my understanding that you can check with Czar that Czar was currently hidden in a bale of wheat in the back of the cart, and he was hidden there just for security and just because.
It is a comfortable
in case-
place to sleep.
Yes, quite. And when this merchant fellow came along, you know how it is inside a bale of hay. It gets a little muffled for sounds, but I would like to refute.
I was
would like to
busy thinking about the. Well, I do not think that it is quite appropriate for courtroom, but there are female of my species. And you see, as if you have lived and worked as I have, you catch certain phrases and they stick in your mind as perhaps triggers, perhaps just something that catches your attention particularly well. Things that bandits say, but for instance, before they shoot people and stab them for their belongings, those kind of things. They pull
Yeah,
you out
so-
of reverie, and so you act.
Yeah, so my defendant here is saying that perhaps as he was hiding away within the wheat, when he heard this phrase, it could have been any bandit that could have come along to try and steal the goods that were ordered by me to be transported to Actionport. This bundle of goods was meant as a offering of trade to the town. Negotiations haven't been made yet. But aside from that, the merchant did actually raise his voice when he said this, and Czar could have seen this as possibly even the what were they? The shadow cloaks? Are they?
Fallen cloaks.
Fallen Cloaks.
are the ones who cause trouble around here.
Yes, the Fallen Cloaks are a very, very dangerous force, as we all know, and we are all a little antsy at the possibility of them coming around. So, Tsar here believed it to happen, and I'll call Carathun up to the stage so that we can hear the exact way that the merchant said, "I'll take all of it," because he's a Kenku.
Excuse me, may I?
By all means, Excelsior.
I do not believe it is appropriate that Personavit represent this man on stage in my presence because he has attempted to kill me twice.
So you attempted to kill me a couple of times.
Yes, we've
Excuse
also
me, define how.
We've all
Define
attempted
how.
to. We've
Tell me
all
how I
attempted
tried to kill
each
you.
other.
Again,
Summoning
gentlemen,
him
gentlemen,
yes.
that is not of import right now. If he attacks you on stage, just understand he will be dealt with. And
No, I would
at
like
those words, Riffin's rapier comes out of the sheath without a sound and is in her hand in the blink of an eye.
his representation of his client is part of the intimidation charge. It is inappropriate for him to be here.
It is inappropriate for you to be here on same charge. You summoned 2 mobs to hunt me down.
I
You
did no
threatened
such
to
thing.
tie me to a tree and leave me to starve in wilderness.
Excuse
We
me.
have
May I?
evidence of that.
Excuse me. I did not threaten. I suggested.
Suggest threat. Suggesting to kill someone or
It
have someone
sounds
killed
like
is
you
threat.
have some other personal issues with which you must deal. Right now, we are just here to deal with the murder charges. I do not care if you have a problem with his lawyer. You can deal with that on your own time.
Are we not going to be covering the charge of intimidation?
Later.
When we get to it, we will get to it. Right now, we are again covering the murder charge. May we continue? We have established the following facts. Tsar here opened fire upon a man whom said a phrase, "I will take all you have." Do I have that correct?
No, I'll. What was it exactly? Crap. It's just blank. I'll take all of it, I believe. I mean,
It is signal more obvious than daylight spell, I believe, is probably the right metaphor. I do not know. I do not use. What?
That was Daria.
The exact phrase was, "I'll take it all."
I see. And you took that to mean shoot without assessing anything else about the situation to see if the man was armed or if he was accompanied?
I took that to mean that attack was imminent, and I would rather shoot man in head while he does not see me than allow him to call for fire on my traveling companions. If I had waited, somebody could have been severely injured, or we could have been set upon with them having a greater advantage.
Yes, this unfortunate event was simply self-defense, and Tsar was merely protecting his party from a bandit ambush that could have easily occurred if he had not been as vigilant as he was.
I do, of course, regret that I had that error in judgment.
I see. So your
From
defense...
now on, I shall take much more time to assess situation correctly before doing any kind of violent action.
Sutha and Daria, have you rejoined us?
Yes.
Your remembrance of this particular incident, was it as they describe?
Well, it was as they described. He did issue what could have been perceived as a threat and was immediately shot by an arrow. Unfortunately, I was in the front of the party, engaging in conversation with the man, so I was unable to see where the arrow came from. But I did very clearly witness it enter his face.
Tsar, did you see your party member conversing with the other person?
I did not see person at all. As I said, I was hanging about in a bale of hay. I simply heard the words that are clear signal, as I said. Anybody
And
could have
just
interpreted
shot in the direction of the voice without looking?
I, of course, popped out to see, but arrow was already released from bow. There's not much time when you think that there are about to be, say, a couple dozen other arrows coming out to really assess where yours is going.
But there were no arrows.
Tsar, out of character, does your character truly believe that they were in danger in these woods?
Yeah, that's why he shot. Because we had been attacked by a giant earlier, and like bandits are way more common than giants.
And less dangerous.
Well, they come in numbers. I don't have
Okay.
have you fought a bunch of bandits? I mean,
I was
that's how I
with you.
killed my first player. With a bunch of bandits.
I was with you last time we fought like 8 bandits.
I hear. Okay. So as you continue, I hear no arguments different on either side as to why the specific murder charge would be able to be ruled in any different manner than I have previously ruled for Dariah. Excelsior, do you have any additional information that would change the tide of how his judgment would have been?
So again, I must submit into evidence the fact that he has consistently evaded arrest, not just like Daria, who submitted herself to the guilds in Lerwick, but who disappeared from the town the second I went to
Again,
find
we are
Daria.
dealing with the murder charge. We will get to
This
the
is
theft,
part of
intimidation,
establishing
and evading arrest
It's
later.
establishing guilt. Furthermore, he hit the man in the head, which is an exceedingly small target, one that cannot simply be fired at from the hip. He would have to aim for at least a few seconds and take a good look at this man to see whether or not he was a bandit. Now, he mentions that he believed this man was part of a specific bandit organization, the Fallen Cloaks.
It seemed most probable. They are quite prevalent in this
Could
region.
you please tell me why the Fallen Cloaks are named?
Presumably because they have lost track of their coats.
Okay,
I
and
do not know. Why does anybody name anybody anything?
this man, was he wearing a cloak?
I do not know. I loosed arrow and got back to cover.
Again, he could not see many of the thing. He could not see very much as he popped out of the wheat. All he heard was the dialogue going on, which was only "I'll take it all." At which
Do
case
you
he
agree
fired.
with me that you engaged in a sneak attack?
I agree with you that I believed we were about to be engaged by sneak attack. As far as mechanically, yeah, it was a sneak attack because I was hidden from him.
Okay, and to have a sneak attack against someone, you must have a significant advantage in combat. Is that correct?
Because I was hidden in a bale of wheat, yeah.
Exactly. And could you have advantage against them while firing if you could not see your enemy?
What is advantage? I do
We're
not know
talking
this
out of
technical
character
term.
now,
A
apparently.
significant advantage against your enemy.
We're talking out of character, I think. Because he's trying to bring mechanical into the actual, like, I have to sit there for 6 seconds and aim if I want my turn.
All I'm saying is that you could not have engaged in a sneak attack against a man if you could not see him. You would be
Well, I
blinded.
obviously
You
didn't just,
can-
like, pop my arm over the side and, like, loose the arrow.
We have already established that he stood, found his target, and released immediately while he still felt he had advantage. Do both parties agree to that assessment?
I had vision of him, I did not have any kind of an identification.
You could see the man, but did not wait long enough to decide whether or not your vision confirmed the threat. You were continuing to act upon what you had heard. Do you agree to that statement?
Yeah.
Very
So
well.
simply not knowing who a man is pretense to kill them.
No.
Again, we
I
are
believed
out
I
in the
did know who that man was, based on what he had said and how he had said it, and my previous experiences with people who say similar things.
Why
we are
would
out
a
in the
bandit-
wild.
Okay.
Why
Okay.
would a bandit ask whether or not our goods are for sale?
You did not hear this statement because the merchant was speaking.
To lull people into a false sense of security before shooting them full of arrows or stabbing them multiple times in the belly.
Excelsior, can I have a skill roll which you're using to make these arguments with? Same thing from Tsar for your defense.
Persuasion?
Well, should I roll persuasion? Or does he get advantage since I'm helping?
He does not have advantage. This is a simple skill check. He could have you roll instead if he'd like.
Let
I got
me
a
roll.
+6 to persuasion?
I have a +7.
Okay, you try it.
Oh god. Well, shit.
RNGs indeed.
Okay. I believe I have heard enough between the previous trial and this to make a ruling at least on the ruling on the charge of murder. Let us continue on to the charge of theft. Your evidence, Excelsior.
Could you tell me how you reached the town of Ashenport, please?
In a wagon in the back, covered
Whose
in
wagon?
hay. A wagon, a cart, is there a difference?
Were you, in fact, covered in hay on the trip back?
I did not go with Caravan on the trip back, as you know. You summoned a mob, and I had to flee.
No, I did not summon the mob until I made it into Ashenport.
You entered the town and
And
screamed
then
bloody murder.
So how did you get from the site of the killing to town? You rode in a wagon, correct?
Yes, after you had threatened to tie me to a
Were
tree.
you next to a pair of corpses when you rode back into town?
I do not believe that you would want to place corpses in wheat that you were transporting for sale.
But I did.
You literally put the corpses in
Yes.
the wagon?
I put the corpses
In the
in
wheat.
wagon. Yes.
No, the corpse.
The other wagon contained.
Daria, it looks like you wish to speak. Would you join us here on stage again?
Yeah, you definitely put them in the cart because nobody
think
put
we go
anything in
up.
my cart.
So, if I may, who was
Hold
driving
on,
the
hold
car?
on. Daria?
The logistics of putting two bodies in a cart with wheat and two bodies in a cart with cabbages and tomatoes. The tomatoes and cabbages were in crates. It would be much easier to put the bodies in the other cart, not the wheat.
As I said, wheat is quite comfortable place to sleep. If there were bodies in there,
Out
they
of
were.
character, all I know is it was with the cart that Sutha was driving because she was the one that got the
Okay.
clerics first.
Sutha, would you clarify which cart had the bodies, please?
Well, from if we remember what was said in the last case, the bodies were placed in the cart that Excelsior was driving, which was the cart that apparently had the goods in it, and I then took the other one and drove that one into town.
Oh, okay. I misremembering them.
Okay. So we have positively then established that the bodies were placed indeed in the same cart that the wheat was being transported in. Correct?
Yes, which is the cart that I was driving. Tsar, I believe you said you did not lay next to a pair of bodies?
I did not notice them. They were probably on the side.
You rode back to town in a stolen cart full
It wasn't
of stolen
stolen. That was the one that we brought with us.
A stolen cart full of stolen cabbages that belonged to the man that was killed and his son.
He rode back to
I
town
rode
in
with
the
wheat,
carriage
as I said.
with wheat and cotton.
I laid in wheat for like 4 days.
And then you killed a man, and then you participated in the theft of his cart.
I did
You
not
rode
participate in
back.
theft. I never left wheat.
Sutha and Daria, would you regale us with your recollections? In which cart did Tsar return to Ashenport in? The original cart from which he fired his bow, or the cart with the new cart, which was, let us say, acquired?
Well, I do believe that he traveled in the original cart. I know
Thank you.
too.
Daria, do you know the same, or do you disagree with that?
I do not remember accurately enough to feel comfortable answering that question.
We
I was in the
have
wheat cart the
two.
entire time. If there was bodies in there, nobody told me.
We have two parties who claim to think that Tsar was in the wheat cart and that the bodies were in that cart as well. As such, your furthered arguments towards theft, then, Excelsior?
I'm just gonna wait for whoever's done typing to finish.
Sutha, if you'd mute yourself, I would appreciate it.
So my argument towards theft is that he participated in the theft of the dead merchant's caravan with the cabbage. If you do not believe that killing a man and being part of the party that takes the cabbage back to town and does not report it to the guards does not constitute theft, then go right ahead and believe that it does not. However, I maintain that he was riding in the cart with the stolen goods.
I was in wheat cart for almost a week. It was rather itchy at the end, but you are the one who likes reporting things to guards so much, so you are also complicit in these thefts.
I reported
never left wheat
the
cart.
theft. I reported the theft to the guards.
So why did you just say that the party had not done this?
And this cart was
Sorry?
left in Ashenport?
Yes, that is correct.
As that confirmed by Excelsior and Tsar, Sutha, and Daria?
The cart, I believe Sutha took that cart to the local temple. After that, I have no idea what happened to it. I left the
Sutha?
cart.
What happened with the cart and its goods after you used it to deliver the bodies to the temple after Excelsior had left town and you had moved the bodies to that wagon?
Well, I believe that the cart was again handled by the priest because this was the town that the cart did originate from. So I wouldn't see it as theft if we simply took it back to where the owner would be
I see.
residing.
Wouldn't it then be more prudent to leave it with the body of the owner in the forest, removing it from a crime scene?
So
Considering that we
bury.
took it back to the temple, the body was with the cart the entire time. So
Also,
Okay.
wouldn't it be more pertinent in your view to leave the bodies at the, crime scene instead of turning them into local authorities and wanting them cremated? In your logic?
I believe I have enough evidence gathered from both sides to judge on the theft charge.
Well,
We will now move to the intimidation. Personovit, if you would please leave the stage for this, as it has been requested by the accuser. I see no reason not to give him this small...
I might need to call him back to ask him a question. So I'm
Well, you just said he can't be on the stage.
as your lawyer, I believe it's inappropriate for him to defend you as his.
As such, you will recuse yourself from participating in Tsar's defense on the intimidation charge.
May I
Are
also
we agreed
recuse
to
myself
continue?
from this crime?
I'm sorry, you cannot. You are accused of it. You cannot be recused from something I'm accusing you of. Not without the judge ruling on it.
Yeah.
Can
May
the-
we ask why he sees this fit to remove me from the stage?
Can I just double check that?
Would you like to step into the zone of?
I'm
He's
currently in.
He's in it.
The
Okay.
I've been in the zone of.
Did
fear.
you identify Tsar as a member of the group known as the Masks of Lurwick?
Yes, I did.
Yes. Are you a member of the Masks of Lurwick?
One may say that. Yes.
Did you take out your weapon and threaten to kill me in the town square after I reported Tsar for murder?
Yes. After you threatened to kill him as well.
Excuse me.
Many threats were slung that day, even
Could
though I was not
you
there. I know these
please
things.
Repeat the threat I made to Tsar?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'll call Carathun up. Well, actually, no, Carathun wouldn't have been there, but I did hear it. It is when you re-entered Lurwick, you said, and I'll skip a good portion of it. Just say the last sentence. The last two. If you care for the guild, help me make it clear to all who watch us that we will not tolerate such acts. And if your heart yearns for their blood, get behind me, for I wish to bring down the headsman's The headsman's axe.
Yes, thank you. Could you please define what a headsman is?
I would assume you in this situation.
A headsman is an individual authorized by a court to commit an execution. I did not threaten your client. I simply asked that if he was found guilty, I be the one to execute him. That is not a threat.
If your heart
Beyond-
yearns for blood, I want to execute this person.
Exactly.
That sounds.
What I
We
was-
are straying very far from the charge at hand. Can we get at least to the point of how Tsar used his intimidation?
Tsar is a member.
Can the intimidation charges cancel each other out, please?
Please.
Tsar is a member of a group known as the Masks of Lurwick.
As already established, please
secret
get
society.
to the point.
Not secret.
He had his contacts within the group threaten to kill me because
did
I'm
no
a
such
witness
thing.
to his murder.
I did no such thing. I threatened to kill you in no way. It is not my
So,
problem what
Through your
my
contacts in the group.
over-eager leader decided that he wanted to seek revenge if you also sought revenge. And revenge is a circle and is self-evaluating something.
A trial is revenge.
Pursuing the death
You
of
are
me,
arguing
so-
again about semantics. I am summarily dismissing the intimidation charge as I find faults on both sides of this argument. It would
Thank
do
you.
you well to not get into such petty arguments in front of a magistrate who has the power to destroy your lives. Now, to the evading arrest. Excelsior, if you would wish to present your accusation.
As with Daria, when I gathered the town guard of Ashenport to search for the accused, he was not found in the town. He did not return to Lurwick with us, and until now, he had not submitted himself to judgment of the court, despite being wanted for suspicion of murder.
I was in witness protection program.
On whose orders?
On my own. I do not wish to be executed before guilt, or before honorable judge here finds guilt or innocence.
Did I ask to execute you before trial?
Not specifically, but you did cry for my. Let's see, how was it? Yes, murder most foul. Thirst for blood is summoned many people to come
I
and
summoned
possibly
a
seek
total of 2
revenge.
guards. There were 2 guards with me.
There were so screaming for bloody murder in town square to summon 2 guards does not count as reasonable action to not be in area to get hunted down and skinned. As
What
you
made you
say,
think that
many
you
ways
would
to
be
skin a
skinned?
cat.
I have never said that.
Excelsior, we are
It is
again
common phrase
debating.
among you. Well, maybe not you specifically, but I
We
do
are
not
again
know what
debating
robots
against-
say.
We are again debating against semantics, and I'd really just prefer to keep this
Yes.
straightforward.
I ran away because I did not wish to be stabbed through back or sliced with sword or shot by firebolt like that poor child.
Understood. Could you answer the magistrate this at least? Why choose now to appear in town? Are there not plenty of people here who might have done the same had they recognized you?
Done what the same? Like killed me?
Try to kill you.
In
Are,
order-
are
I
there
was-
are there not people that have been informed that you're a murderer and that might have taken justice into their own hands in this town? People that are not of the guild.
Yes, that is
Do
specifically.
not fear for your life then.
They know that there is murderer who resembles me as I look now. That is why I disguised myself as completely different person named Surf. He is very nice man. You can see that I do in fact have capability of redemption and changing of voice. I believe that perhaps one of these people is present today who saw his deeds and saw that they were noble and good.
So it is your belief that you would be assassinated in Lurwick, is that correct?
Perhaps not assassinated is too clean a word. Chopped to pieces, more likely.
Were there any assassination attempts on Daria while she was in Lurwick?
I do not know. I was not there. As I said, I
You
fled.
do know that
to
Daria
Lurwick.
was under guard and submitted into a prison. So it is
that
it is unlikely that people would have taken things into their own hands.
So it is reasonable to believe that if Tsar returned to Lurwick and submitted himself to the guards there, if not the guards in Ashenport, that there would not have been an attempt on his life. Correct?
It is-
Especially because we
well,
have evidence
hindsight
that no
is-
such thing happened.
Yes,
Hindsight has
is
20/20 vision.
Yeah.
It is very
But
keen.
what evidence do you have that anyone would kill you and admitted yourself to the police? I'm sorry, the town guard of either town.
How do you find evidence of something that will happen in future? What people think of they do with their own swords. Do they write down an itinerary? Today I shall hunt down murderer. Today I shall make eggs with breakfast. I do not believe that people write down...
I'm often paid to kill people based on written down plans, actually.
That is your own problem. I do not do this. I do not write down what I do in day because somebody may decide that what I do is bad and send somebody like you to kill
Is
me.
there any point where you are not fearing for your life? Because you fear for your life in the forest, you fear for your life in town?
I quite like my life. I
Magistrate,
think
may
it
I
is
have
not
the
so much
floor?
fear as careful guarding.
Dario, is that you?
Yes.
Please speak.
The defendant and the accuser have been doing this for over 5 minutes straight now.
I
I
quite
believe-
enjoy our back and forth
Enough.
thoughts.
And I
Enough,
believe
Star.
that this is enough. We are wasting your time. We are wasting my time now that I'm a free woman. Thank you again for that. This is a
Okay.
personal issue.
You may have
And
heard
these two need to discuss it somewhere else.
there
I
is
request
highly...
that the charge of intimidation be dropped and that we move on to the proceeding of judgment.
We are at the evading arrest charge right
Yes.
now. We
I'm
are at the
just
final
waiting-
charge.
I'm
I
waiting
agree
for
that I
the
have heard
trigger.
plenty of arguments on both sides.
That's what I meant to say.
Yes.
I have one last statement. That is highly culturally insensitive phrase that you humanoids use. Scaredy cat, I believe? Scared like kitten, maybe? In this case, it is in fact accurate, but please do not stereotype future tabaxi based on this phrase. It is quite rude to do so.
Okay.
However, you would be correct.
During Excelsior and Tsar, during your arguments, I would like to know what skill you were using to.
Persuasion.
Okay.
Please do not execute me skill. Which one would that?
Son of a bitch.
Well, can I do a stealth roll to not
Well,
shit my,
hold on.
to make it apparent that I'm not
Are
shitting
we
my
doing the
pants right now?
rolls? Are we doing rolls?
Yes, rolls matter.
All right. RNGesus.
Sorry,
Two people,
sorry,
we have advantage.
you are on your own for this, as
Oh damn.
your lawyer has been pulled off the stage already, and he was not requested to be back.
Right there is a stealth check to not be openly shitting my pants.
Okay. What skill and how are you using it to avoid
But that's
not
that's a
avoid,
stealth
but
check?
to make your perception. That's his stealth check for something completely separate.
I mean, you just said to make it check, so I'm using my highest modifier.
How is stealth helping you win this argument?
Are you trying to escape from the forest?
Unless you can explain to me how stealth is playing into this argument about your evading a threat, I can't allow you to use that check.
I am hiding from the possibly murderous gaze of what's it, Excelsior, and the blindfolded sight of justice. I don't know. Okay, I'll make. Dang it, I only have expertise in stealth and deception. What am I gonna do? I have to. I could.
Did we even establish if he failed the check against the zone of truth?
I haven't lied.
He said he submitted to it, so there was
Okay.
no check necessary.
Gotcha. I don't think you can make a deception if you're in a zone of truth.
Yeah, you can indeed make a deception while you're in a zone of truth. That is not a true statement. You can avoid and evade the truth as much as you wish, as long as you are not lying. Exactly. You can phrase what you say very carefully. However, you were just providing him with arguments on how to use the other skill he is expert in. What I need to hear from him is what skill he is using and how he is applying it.
Yeah, my next highest relevant modifier is a 6, so I'd have to basically get the exact same roll I just did in order to beat it, and I'm gonna get executed because I can't do that. Oh!
What skill is that, and how are you using it?
That was persuasion, boy.
Okay. So straight persuasion roll. You're
Against
not
his
using
persuasion.
Okay.
Correct?
Yep.
Okay, yeah. Good show.
Okay. If you are ready for my ruling, closing arguments you may wish to proceed with. If not, I am ready to judge.
Actually, if I might,
By all means.
The spell that your associate used upon the boy was not simply speak to the dead, correct?
Correct. It does not work on the living.
Could it be used on a corpse without a head?
Unlikely.
Okay, because it was the boy's spirit that was talking and not the corpse itself. So I was wondering if we could perhaps bring the slain merchant to testify about his
That will take
killer.
more time, and we already have.
I have already
Full
judged his
argument.
murder. I have heard all of the testimony I believe I need to hear between the boys in the last and this. I do not believe that any additional testimony would sway my decision in this matter.
Yeah.
Are there any other arguments you wish to make, Excelsior?
I believe that I have tried to as I could. Believe that simply fear is not an excuse for slaughter when there are so many more peaceful avenues you could make beyond simply killing travelers on the road. That if this man is fearing for his life at every possible moment, I must wonder why he chooses not to slaughter everyone before him. If he is even in sound enough mind to stand trial, if he is in mortal peril at every moment.
I did not say every moment. I only say this when there is quite high likelihood of having arrow in my own head.
Thank you for
Or
your
sword
closing
in my own
arguments, Excelsior. Tsar, do you have any that you would like to share?
Yes, I believe that the worst case of this traveling man through forest with no guards, not my thing to say, but the worst thing that can be brought against me for him is a case of tragically mistaken identity. This happens many times. Surely you have been fooled by just the other day in my alternate very good boy persona. We were tricked by Succubus, who disguised herself as a ship captain, I believe he was, before nearly killing somebody with that. I don't know. Maybe they get erection so hard that their heart gives out a little bit, and they lose very much.
It was a blood drain. It was a blood drain.
It was yes, blood. That is what I say. Blood drain.
Okay. To the two charges that have been struck.
May I call forth witness for this alternate persona that I have used for his integrity? In fact, that I am in fact not paranoid person who kills everybody in front of him because they may do the same to him.
The time for those arguments was before we got to closing arguments.
This is attached to not intimidation, but this is quite important for the charge that I am paranoid person who shoots everybody. It can be seen that I am not.
It has been established that you are paranoid and not in all cases completely bloodthirsty, based on your other interactions and your appearance here today. Are you ready to hear your judgment?
That depends on what the judgment is. I may decide not to hear it afterwards.
To the evading arrest, you are found to be guilty. The fine is 100 gold or 2 weeks service to Lerwick.
I had to pay more than that to get fair to Waterdeep.
Okay. To the two charges stricken from the record, theft and intimidation, I would advise you to have a discussion with your compatriot here. try to be civil about it when you do. I would hate to be called back here for another murder trial.
The
And
compatriot
on to
is
the main
Excelsior, right?
event. Yes.
Okay,
And,
well, he's-
and yeah, as she gestures at him. On to the main charge of murder. I find you guilty of murder, of manslaughter without justifiable cause. Adventurers should know to take a second to confirm that there is actually danger before they just begin shooting everyone that they see. As such, you are relegated to 10 years of servitude to the city, or an equivalent 5,000 gold pieces in reparations to be distributed by Ashen
what
Wood.
the?
Wait a minute.
Do I have to
Dariah
gather? Do I have
got
to
off
gather up
last-
3,000 downtime days now? Do I have to gather 5,000 or 4,000, 5,000 downtime days? in
What
order
is the
to
difference
play
between
Tsar?
Daria's verdict and Tsar's verdict?
Manslaughter with probable justification versus murder without justification.
Our
What
justification's
what
the
about
same.
Daria's justification applies to her but not Tsar?
We
Yeah.
can discuss that separate from this.
Judge has final say.
The
Gavel has stricken.
your out of character arguments we can discuss out of it. In character, the magistrate begins to speak and says, the difference is she obviously believed that she was exhausted. There was testimony to the harshness of her travel. There was evidence that other members of your party had already started some form of combat, which had alerted her attention. There is no reason for her to believe that anybody would have been safe to shoot, whereas your compatriot stood up and took a shot without making any sort of effort to confirm their target.
I'm just gonna do this for my own good here. Boom.
Okay.
With that, she takes out the same sheaf of papers that takes 4 more sheets, makes the rest of her notes, sets them out for each of you to sign as you go through and sign. She hands one to the guard that has returned from filing the other, stating that he can again return this to Arisian when she is free, so that she has a copy, and that she will take the last 3 copies to Waterdeep. She says that she will find a place in town where she and Riffin can stay for the night, and she will expect Arisian to provide her transportation back to Waterdeep as at her earliest convenience, at the earliest time that she is ready. Tsar, do you understand the choice which you are making for your murder?
I do not. Do I have to gather up 5,000 downtime days?
You can go and work in service of the town for the requisite 10 years.
For 10 years.
Increase the age of your character by 10 years, and then continue playing them, with the caveat that you are going to be 10 years older, and you will have been out of adventuring for quite some time, or you can pay the requisite 5,000 gold to the town.
So he's just kind of like time travels 10 years in the future.
Well, the problem is that he's going to be away from the area for quite some time, or he finds a way to pay up.
Basically, pay gold or make a new character.
Not necessarily make a new character. I don't want to force that upon him, obviously, but he needs to find a way to make reparations for what he's done.
I think he should basically not gain any downtime days for a set amount of quests he goes on. as is all
Or
his
money.
downtime's day. No, his money. I mean, I guess he's spending the gold, but his
We'll
downtime days would
garnish
be
his
going
wages.
into the town itself. Therefore, he doesn't get to use his own downtime days. I think
Let's
that's
say
with that character.
we garnish both his money and his downtime days until combined they reach 5,000.
That's forever.
That's
literally
That's like a year.
that's literally more than the lifetime of this character.
Yeah, I honestly think
5,000
I mean,
gold
like-
is not exactly that much in terms of
5,000
This
rewards.
seems really arbitrary. Again,
I'm
I'll-
literally just reading off of the sheet for what Waterdeep's punishments for crimes are.
that's what I think though.
Is
it
Ashen
should
part
just
part
be-
of Waterdeep?
well,
They-
we accepted the judgment of Waterdeep Magistrate into our town, but it's just, again, I'm having a hard time understanding why Dariah is getting off with a lighter sentence than Tsar.
She is not the inciting incident. That is the difference.
Regardless, I really think that he should the down. You can't just have him age 10 years and then just play like nothing ever happened, because that will fuck a lot of roleplay.
I mean, I never roleplay. I'm never in town square.
It
It doesn't matter to me.
Oh, hold on a second. So it's 2,000 gold. My apologies.
Oh,
It's not 5,000. It's only 2,000. I read the sheet wrong here.
Yeah, the 5 is basically just upside down too.
Yeah. No, there's it's
Are
the
you sure that-
scale.
are you sure
It's a
it isn't-
scale of punishment, basically, from this to this, this to this, etc.,
Are
etc.
you sure it's not a 0002?
Unfortunately, it is a 2,000.
Zara, how much gold do you have, real quick?
I have 735 gold. So somebody needs to. I need to get. So that's 1,200.
What is the legality
You-
of slavery
you,
for
uh,
set term here?
What was the question, Excelsior?
Is slavery under a contract for a set period of time legal?
That is
in this part
indentured.
of-
It's called enforced hard labor, basically.
I
It's
would like to
official
hire him as
terminology.
my manservant.
No, fuck you.
No, you can get a loan from the Max. We can do that. We'll
I mean,
establish.
I can pay the remainder of his fine.
No, fuck you.
No.
That's in character.
I have 1,300 gold.
Tabaxi hand signal.
Okay. You have, as stated for Dariah, the same fortnight of time to have your payment sent to Waterdeep.
Wait. I have to pay up 2,000 gold in 2 weeks.
Yep.
We can flip that, don't worry.
If you'd rather do that than locking your character for X number of time, X amount of time, and having them
Pause.
serve
Well,
out
it's just
their time.
age them for 10 years and then
Doesn't it take 15 days
pretend
get
to
the
be out of it
Lurwick?
for 10 years.
It has
I
to
guess?
be. It has to be
I
leave. It has to leave
really-
Lurwick within the fortnight. It doesn't
I
have to
really-
arrive in Waterdeep in a fortnight.
Okay, gotcha.
I really don't like him just being able to just like, oh, I'm 10 years older, because that, like, even if he doesn't roleplay, that like screws like a lot of things up weirdly.
That's why I'm talking
can
about
just
locking the character for a while.
Just get a banshee over here and have her scream at me
No, that's
for 10 years.
but that's not the punishment. The punishment isn't you get older. The out of character punishment, your character's older, but in character, it's not. You're spending that time doing labor. Therefore, why can't he just not gain downtime days? That's literally what his downtime days would be spent on, labor, and insert X amount of downtime days.
Because 5,000 downtime days.
No,
is
I'm not
like-
saying
is what,
5,000.
1000 like 1,000 hours.
I'm not saying.
Downtime days accrue at a slightly different rate than you would if you were playing through a session. I would say that if you were going to be giving up downtime days instead of gold, it would be the equivalent would be 200 downtime days.
Yeah, something like that. Which is
I'll
still.
I'll go with 200 downtime days.
Okay, then we have it on record, and that's the judgment that is told out. You have 200. You have the next 200 downtime days that you earn go towards paying back your debt.
Oh, not the
in
downtime days that I
Ashenport.
have? Because I have
Um,
exactly enough downtime days to both travel back from Waterdeep and pay out 200.
On
That's,
this character, I mean,
that's,
Well, it's-
that's
it's-
insane.
like
Yeah,
I know
I
that
don't use them.
It is days earned from this point forward. It is not included in any days that you could have had before.
I mean,
Those-
ask Raka. He has like 800, something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, it is the next 200 days that you would earn. You do not earn any more downtime days when playing with this character.
Okay.
That is my ruling. I thank you all for attending the session. Of course, if you'd like to have future conversations about
may I
this
ask a
at any
quick
point,
question?
go ahead, Daria.
The question on everyone's mind: how much XP do we get?
Eh.
Yeah, how much XP and downtime days do I get?
I did a
There's
shitload of fucking
there's
research.
a minimum for hours we spent RPing, so we
Yeah.
get
15
much.
days, right? Is 5 times the
I'd like
hours.
to award Taj 1,000 RPXP.
Same. Let's all get like
How's your character
1,000
now, level
RPXP.
20?
That's good.
Yeah, my character doesn't actually accept any of the DMXP because I hate that concept in terms of when I'm playing a character. I like that character just grow with their adventures. So you can award whatever you want to him. They're not going to accept.
All right, let's get
I'll
somebody
accept any
banned
you
and
give
award
me.
1 billion XP. Yeah, let's get somebody banned and award this guy 1 billion XP for DMs.
Okay. Thank you all for joining. There is no XP for the session. We were resolving a guild matter.
Oh, shit. No
sucks.
downtime?
You can each get 15 downtime days. Tsar, these 15 do not count towards your requirements. It is not a punishment unless it's harsh. Please take your what's somewhere else.
And I would like to ask, I don't care what you think the punishment should be, worse or better. This is what the DM decided. We're dropping this right now, or else it's not. I did this for fun. I don't want.
Well, I'm not mad that they're not dead. I'm mad that I'm not getting experience.
I don't care about the punishment. I was just
Okay.
making sure it made
All right,
sense lore-wise.
I wanted to say that now. All right, thank you.
Have a good night, guys.
Yep.
Okay.